Hi guys, Elena Doms here, on my journey to impact, telling you a story and sharing everything that I learned along the way after I quit my corporate job in search for positive impact with Earth Plus and Sea Biotech. For those of you who don't know me, at Earth Plus we have a crazy mission to create the largest soil and CO2 cleanup with nature, and at Sea Biotech we're very passionate about turning construction into a carbon sink. How these two fit together? Well, you can clean and restore soils with plants that grow really fast and capture a lot of CO2 while restoring soils, and you can turn these plants into bio-based construction materials that will store carbon and will make our buildings a lot healthier and a lot less wasteful. Today in this episode, I wanted to talk to you about regenerative business models. When I quit my corporate job, I'll be really honest with you, I found a new respect for entrepreneurs. While you're at a corporate, you don't notice that maybe, but sometimes, entrepreneurs are not taken seriously, especially when they're starting up. And it's so hard. You have to face so much rejection. I mean, to just start something off the ground and to really make it into a product that everybody would want. So once I became started that path myself, I was like, wow, I have to give my big respect to everyone who tried starting different ventures, and now I completely look differently at the entrepreneurs. Now, one of the challenges of climate tech entrepreneurships or everything that is related to nature is regenerative business models. I mean, traditional businesses and corporates, they need to move from models that are damaging for our environment, not just to net zero, but into models that regenerate our environment. However, for startups in the space, they have to start from it right away, right? It's not just enough to think of a product and to think of a production line and just wonderful marketing and AI tools that you can use and just put it on the market. No, that wouldn't work, because you need to take into account what are you doing to nature, what are you doing to climate, which resources are you using, are you really truly being sustainable? And for example, in our business model, we are turning a waste and something that nobody wants into a sweet candy or a piece of cake that you can share with everyone that would be healthy and delicious. So just imagine the situation. You have a polluted land, or you have a farming land where you need to increase yields in the meantime. Normally, sometimes this land could be considered a liability if this land is not proper, if you can't do much with it. However, nature is so powerful that you can use plants, you can use fungi to restore these soils back, to clean them up, to extract the pollution, because plants can act like a pump and mycelium can accelerate that process. So actually you can use nature in an extremely powerful way. Instead of, for example, in construction, taking the ground and excavating it somewhere else, you can actually restore it, you can clean it on the place, you can bring biodiversity in that soil back. Now, what that means also, if biodiversity in the soil back, is that the soils will flourish more and give better food and give better everything, right? Better plants. Then afterwards, you need to still take this biomass, see what you do with the polluted plant parts, right? And depending on the type of the pollution, it can be really hard to get rid of it. For example, if you're talking about forever chemicals, they only get destroyed at temperatures above 1,400 degrees. So you need to think of a model where that would also be done with the least energy and in the most sustainable circular way. It's not just enough to take the problem out of the soil and out of the atmosphere with CO2 and put it somewhere else. You really need to think of what to do with that. And then how do you take the clean plant parts and how do you turn them into amazing bio-based circular materials, which is what Sea Biotech is currently doing, into the materials that would be as good or even better than traditional materials. For example, insulation, right? The insulation is synthetic, it's fossil fuel based. It's also not really healthy to breathe during the heat waves. How can you make a natural insulation that would actually be a lot healthier to breathe, have the same properties, and then would be at the same price or even cheaper than traditional materials? Now, this is something that needs to be solved, right? This is a conundrum. This is a problem, but on the other hand, a very creative exercise on how you can do that. So once again, this is another type of thing to think about, how to create materials that are actually superior and much better, that regenerate the soils and capture CO2. Remember, that already gets a lot more complex. And then one step forward in the regenerative business is not just enough to create these materials, but how do you also avoid waste, and how do you make these materials circular, right? Something that not a lot of companies are looking at right now, but we need to move into the circular business models. So once again, how do you not just create superior materials that are at the same price or below, but the materials that are also going to be traced and are going to be fully circular without any waste. And then another step is, how do you measure everything throughout the process to make sure that everything is credible and transparent and there is absolutely no greenwashing, that everything is AAA. And this is just one example of what we are doing, right? Taking the soils and CO2, cleaning and restoring them, at the same time creating bio-based construction materials that would be superior, healthier and circular, and then tracing everything with technology to make it 100% transparent. This is an example of how complex regenerative business models can be, but on the other hand, an example of how creative and innovative we need to be, because now we are no longer thinking about the product, the scaling up and the profits, but how do we restore nature with that product? How do we make a product that's superior and healthier? How do we trace everything? And how do we make profits and revenue out of that? Now, that's a really big challenge to solve, and also a really exciting one. And this needs to be repeated across different industries. And sometimes for corporates, they have more resources to implement that. They have more massive footprints, so if they turn things around, they will have massive positive impact. But startups, they're also really fast to implement things. They don't have these lengthy processes. They can continue innovating really, really quick until they find that perfect fit. And then it's just a question of scaling, which is, of course, is another very big one, because how do you turn an idea of a startup into something global that could have positive impact? So I wanted to give you this a little preview of what's happening on the background to explain that regenerative business is a necessity, but on the other hand, is a very, very interesting exercise with a lot of different variables that you need to think of. So my ask to you, if next time you see a climate or nature entrepreneur, please be kind to them. Know that they're doing their best, that they're fighting the most important battle of their lives, so that we can make all of our lives better and our children's and grandchildren's lives better, and help our planet actually thrive by being part of our planet. Our planet is our home, so let's be good citizens. Let's treat our planet well. So next time you see climate or nature entrepreneurs or any entrepreneurs, please be kind to them. Know that they're going through a very interesting, innovative process, and they need all the wonderful support that you can give them. Because only together, through massive and radical collaboration between the different industries and different players, we can actually restore our beautiful planet. Thank you. If you like this video, if you find this insightful, please do share it with someone who needs to hear it today. I will also share what we do at Earth Plus and Sea Biotech. So if you have lands that need work on, polluted or agricultural, to increase your yields, or marginal lands, do not hesitate to get in touch and see what we could do for you. And in the meantime, have a wonderful, fantastic day. And know that there are a lot of wonderful people all around the world working together to get ourselves out of the mess that we created.